The silent cry, the stars were silent, peaceful, cold, in the far edge of the Zorvian sector. A small planet named Threxnine sent a signal into the void. It was not a threat. It was not a declaration of war. It was a cry for help.
The Threxians
Were a peaceful race tall, thin beings with translucent skin and soft voices. They had no warships, no armies, no weapons. Their only defense was their distance from galactic centers. They had lived in isolation for centuries, believing that if they stayed quiet, no harm would ever come to them. But harm had come. An empire, known only as the Red Scourge, had risen. Ruthless and unstoppable, the Scourge didn't conquer planets, they erased them. They didn't negotiate. They simply arrived, harvested everything of value, and left behind ashes and silence. Threxnine was next. When the Threxians saw the Scourge fleet appear in their sky, they panicked. Their cities had no shields, their skies had no defense grids. They were helpless. But in desperation, the High Elder of Threxnine remembered something. Something ancient. Long ago, during the first age of space travel, an old signal had been found. It was from a small blue planet. The message was strange and filled with unknown language, but one line had been clear of it. After centuries of translation, in danger, call, Earth will come. No one knew if Earth still existed. No one knew if the humans even remembered sending that signal. But the Threxians had no other choice. They activated the ancient relay system and sent a simple message. We are peaceful. We are under attack. If you hear us, please help. We beg you. And then they waited. Hours passed. Then days. The sky above them darkened not because of weather, but because of the Scourge warships blocking their sun. The Threxians began to accept death. Parents hugged their children. Elders wept in silence. Then the stars moved. The Scourge fleet, confident and hungry, detected something strange on the edge of the system. A ripple in space, tear in the void. And then, without warning, a ship came through. It wasn't big, it wasn't beautiful, but it was terrifying. Black metal, sharp edges, no insignias, no warnings, no hails. No, just cold silence. The Scourge fleet scanned it. No known species. Matched. But the readings were clear. It was old. Very old, and full of weapons. The Scourge commander laughed. One ship? Against their fleet? They powered their weapons. But then, more ships arrived. 5, 10, 30. A full fleet. Each one darker than the last. Some shaped like blades. Others like beasts. All of them moving with silent precision. Then came the signal. A single human voice echoed across all channels. You called? We answered. The Scourge fleet fired first. It didn't matter. The moment their beams struck the Earth fleet, they vanished. No explosions, no fire. Just silence. The human ships shimmered, as if space itself bent around them. Then Earth responded. The stars lit up. In under 12 seconds, 7 Scourge capital ships were vaporized. No debris, no remains, just blinding light. On Threxnine, the sky turned white. The Threxians covered their eyes and ears. The ground trembled like a quake. The Red Scourge panicked for the first time in galactic history. They tried to flee. They never made it. Human warships, using drives unseen for centuries, cut through space like shadows. They didn't chase. They appeared. Instantly, wherever they wanted. They didn't miss. Within minutes, the Scourge fleet was gone. Gone. And then came silence again. But this silence felt different. It felt like judgment. The Threxians looked up. The human fleet remained, floating, watching, waiting. And then a second message came. Do not mistake our mercy for weakness. Earth watches. Earth remembers. Then the fleet vanished into folds of light and rips in gravity, leaving nothing but silence and shocked minds behind. The galaxy would never be the same. They had hoped for mercy. But Earth had sent fire. The destruction of the Scourge fleet was not a small event. It was felt across the galaxy like a chunklact. Ancient. Council of hundreds of alien species, there was panic. The Scourge had been a problem for years, but no one had dared to fight them. Every attempt had failed. Even powerful species had fallen. The Senate had secretly hoped Threx-9 would be ignored, but now something else had happened. The Scourge wasn't just defeated, they were erased. The footage was terrifying. Dozens of Scourge warships destroyed in seconds by black human ships that looked like nightmares made real. No warnings. No peace talks, just fire. The Senate chambers filled with noise. Arguments, fears, questions. Who are the humans? Did they respond? Are they coming for us next? Why were we never warned about them? An old ambassador stood in the corner, watching the others scream. She had seen the message before. She had read the story of Earth. Long ago, humans had joined the Galactic Senate. They were passionate, intelligent, fearless, but they didn't last long. After one brutal war where humans had fought to protect weaker species and suffered heavy losses, they left. They left everything behind. No contact. No ambassadors. No trade. They disappeared into the shadows of their own solar system, and the galaxy moved on, forgetting them like a dream. But humans had not forgotten. And now, after hundreds of years, they had returned. Not with words, not with open hands, but with weapons that could tear suns in half. Back on Threx-9, the people tried to understand what had happened. Their cities had survived. Their families were alive. But something deep inside them had changed. For the first time, they understood what true power looked like, and what true protection felt like. They began building shrines not to worship, but to remember. Pictures of the Earth fleet taken from old satellites were printed and placed in their homes. The name Earth became sacred, but not everyone was thankful. In the dark corners of the galaxy, some saw Earth's return as a threat in the Zarnok Dominion. A militaristic empire, the war generals called for investigation. They feared what the humans might do next. The humans don't follow our rules, General Vortek growled. They act without permission. Today they destroyed the Scourge. Tomorrow, it could be us. Then what do? We gather every record, every weapon, every secret. If Earth wants war, they'll find we're ready. But even as he spoke, there was fear in his voice. He had seen the footage too. He had counted. Not all of Earth's warships had fired. Only a few had been active, and still they had erased a fleet. Far from politics and fear, in a cold research base orbiting a dying moon, a group of scientists watched the data in silence. They had been tracking humanity's energy signatures for years. Tiny shifts in gravity, invisible particles, radio waves from the edge of known space. They had known Earth was hiding something, but they never expected this. What kind of power is this? One whispered, another replied. It's not just power. It's discipline, precision. They could have destroyed the planet. But they didn't. Why not? The lead scientist stared at the screen because they didn't want to rule. They wanted to warn. In Earth's solar system, the war fleet had returned home. Silent and unseen, it passed through stealth gates and cloaked planets. Earth, once a planet of oceans and cities, now looked different. Huge orbital structures floated above the surface. Moons had turned into military stations. Mars glowed with industry. Saturn's rings had secret weapons hidden within. Humanity had not wasted time. After leaving the galaxy's politics, they had built a fortress. They had prepared, not for conquest, but for moments like this. In a deep command center, far below the Earth's crust, an old man watched the report from Threx-9. He had gray hair, a long scar on his cheek, and eyes that had seen too much war. A young officer stood beside him. They're scared of us now, sir, she said. They should be, the old man answered. But what now? Turn slowly. We wait, we listen, and if another cry for help comes. He paused. The answer. The galaxy could not stop talking about Earth. In every corner, on trade ships, military outposts, news networks, everyone had one question. Who gave Earth the right to act? And more importantly, who would stop them if they tried again? The destruction of the Scourge fleet was fast and final. But Earth didn't send an explanation. They didn't ask for thanks. They didn't even stay. The warships arrived, burned everything evil, and vanished. No message, no pride, just silence. That silence was louder than any speech on the planet. Lorvin, a council of allied species, met in secret. The leaders there were older and wiser. They had long memories, and they remembered Earth before it vanished. They were once weak, said the Soren elder. His skin glowed dim blue under the council lights. But their spirit was unbreakable. Even when they had nothing, they still fought. They broke the rules of the Galactic Treaty, hissed a tall creature with long fingers. They destroyed a fleet without permission, a younger voice replied from the shadows. That fleet was Scourge. You know what the Scourge did to refugees? You know what they were doing to Threx-9? Double quotes. The council grew quiet. Everyone knew the truth. The Scourge didn't believe in peace. They took what they wanted. They killed without warning. No court could stop them. No vote mattered. When the Scourge arrived, death followed. So Earth didn't ask for permission. Earth acted, and now, for the first time in centuries, the monsters were afraid. Back on Earth, people lived their lives, like nothing happened. News of the fleet's return never reached the public. The attack on Threx-9 was not on their media. No one outside command knew how close the galaxy had come to complete collapse. This was the plan. Earth's leaders believed. In silence, they believed in actions, not headlines. While the galaxy played politics and chased peace treaties, Earth had trained warriors, built fleets, created weapons that could not be copied. They didn't want war, but they prepared for it every day. In orbit above Mars, Commander Rhea stood in a war room filled with screens. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. She watched the council chatter from Lorvan, listening to their debate through hacked satellites. "Do we answer them, Commander?" asked her aide. "No," she replied. "We watch. If they come closer to our borders, we warn them once. If they move again..." She didn't finish her sentence. She didn't have to. In the deepest corners of the Milky Way, the Scourge survivors limped back to their home base. Of the 71 ships sent to Threx-9, only 3 remained. Their hulls were cracked, their crew was broken, many of them didn't speak. The silence of death was still in their minds. Their leader, or Admiral Croth, sat in his throne of bone and steel. His face was once proud. It was twisted with rage and fear. He screamed at his scientists. "What were those weapons? How can we build something like that?" The scientists trembled. We don't know," Admiral one said. "We used weapons we've never seen. Some kind of gravity manipulation. Lasers that bent space. It wasn't just brute strength. It was perfect precision." "They are Death Worlders," whispered another. "They live on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Their history is full of war, full of survival. They don't fear death." Croth slammed his claws on the table. "Then we must strike first." The room went cold. Even his own warriors didn't agree. Striking Earth would be suicide. They had watched a fleet of monsters vanish in moments. What chance did they have? On the peaceful planet of Alara, children watched the event through holograms. The teachers paused their lessons and showed the footage. Earth's ships arriving like ghosts, blasting the Scourge with deadly light, and then vanishing like a myth. The children were silent. One asked, "Will they come here next?" Another whispered, "I hope they do. Maybe they'll protect us too." Across the stars, Earth became legend. Not a government, not an empire, but a force. And forces don't need permission. They move when the universe fails to protect its own. In the shadows of a dying star, a lone probe drifted. Its purpose was simple: to record radio signals and search for signs of life. That day, it picked up something strange. A message, 3 words, repeated over and over. In a signal strong enough to pierce black holes, "Earth is watching." The message reached over 100 systems before it stopped. No one knew who sent it. No one admitted to decoding it. But it changed everything. Galactic fleets began training harder. Borders were redrawn. Alliances were tested. Spies were sent near. The Sol system, but none returned. And in the middle of all this movement, Earth remained still, waiting, listening, not for enemies, but for another cry for help. The galaxy thought Earth would stay quiet. They believed that after saving Threx 9, the humans would return to their death world and disappear again for another century. That's what Earth always did. Come would know. One else could then vanish without asking for thanks. But this time, they didn't vanish. A single Earth. Warship remained near the wreckage of Threx 9. It hovered like a ghost above the burned, scourged fleet, scanning debris, monitoring signals, and watching everything. It said nothing. It made no moves. It just watched, and everyone noticed. The Galactic Council was nervous. Very nervous. They gathered in a private chamber carved inside a moon-sized space station orbiting Jalthor Prime. The chamber was ancient, used only for moments of crisis. Now, all eyes were on Earth. "They are provoking a war," hissed Lord Venrock of the Tritharia's voice cracked like glass. "No single species is allowed to patrol another space without approval." "Threx 9 asked for help," said a calm ambassador from the Alari. Earth answered when no one else did. "Where were you when the Scourge burned their cities?" Lord Venrock's eyes narrowed. "We had to vote. We needed time." "While you were voting," said another, "humans were dying on Threxnin, defending children that weren't even theirs." Silence filled the chamber. Everyone knew the truth. Earth had become something different. Not a government, not a member of the council. They were becoming a symbol of action. And symbols are dangerous. Meanwhile, inside the Earth warship named Valkyrie, Commander Rhea stood on the bridge, watching a screen filled with galaxy-wide chatter. Her officers were calm but alert. Every satellite, every radio frequency, every whisper in deep space, they were tracking it all. "Council warships are moving," her second-in-command said. 12 vessels from the Jalthar Alliance. They're headed toward this sector. "They'll try to test us," Rhea replied. "Let them come. But no one fires unless I say so. They won't like us staying here, Commander." "They didn't like us saving Threx 9 either," she said coldly. "But we did." A quiet alert blinked on her console. New signal. Unknown source. Rhea opened the file and saw a message she didn't expect. A planet in the Rylos, System 1 never visited by humans, was begging for help. It was a weak signal, full of static. But the words were clear. "Please, we took our children. We are not soldiers. They burn our skies, please." Anyone, she closed her eyes and clenched her fists. This wasn't Earth's war, but Earth had power now. Power meant responsibility. Back in the Rylos system, the planet Verident 4 was burning. It was a green world, full of forests and calm rivers. Its people were peaceful, not part of any alliance. They believed staying neutral would keep them safe. They were wrong. The Scourge had returned what was left of them. Their leader, Admiral Croth, was hungry for revenge. He wanted to show the galaxy that Earth could not protect everyone, that humans were not gods. So he picked a planet he thought Earth wouldn't care about. A weak world, silent world. But the message still reached Valkyrie, and that was enough. "Set course, Rhea." Ordered. "We move now." "What if the Council interferes?" her pilot asked. "They can interfere," she said, "but they won't stop us." The Valkyrie jumped through space like lightning bending the stars behind it. Within minutes, it entered the Rylos system. The skies of Verident 4 were already red with fire. Scourge ships were bombing cities, and civilians were running into forests, hiding under stone ruins that shook with each blast. Then, everything stopped. A shadow fell across the sky. The Valkyrie had arrived. It wasn't the biggest ship in the galaxy. It wasn't even the newest. But it carried weapons designed for one thing only: destruction without mercy. "Scourge ships detected," said the weapons officer. 39 vessels, heavy armor, no shields. No shields. Rhea smiled coldly. "They still haven't learned." She raised her hand. and the sky turned white. Lasers struck with surgical precision. Missiles twisted through gravity. Beam weapons sliced through metal like paper. Each blast landed only on Scourge ships, voiding civilian areas completely. The Valkyrie didn't fire wildly. It didn't destroy cities by accident. It was controlled, focused, deadly, in under 7 minutes. The entire Scourge force was gone. Not one escaped, not one survived. Veridon 4 skies cleared. Its people emerged from caves and shelters. They looked up in silence and saw the Earth warship hovering quietly above their world. A young boy stood next to his father and asked, "What do we say?" The father shook his head, speechless. Then he whispered, "We don't say anything." "Remember, on the Council worlds, alarms rang. What do we do now?" asked one ambassador. "Earth is acting like it owns the galaxy." "They're not conquering," said the Alari delegate. "They're defending. There's a difference." Lord Venric hissed again. "There is no difference when one species decides what is right." "They don't decide," came a reply. "They just do what others are afraid to." The warship Valkyrie stayed above Veridon 4 for only an hour. The galaxy was silent, but the silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. It was tense. Everyone was watching Earth. For years, humans were treated like a small species from a violent planet. People respected them, but only from a distance. They were called survivors, warriors, monsters in human skin. But now, things had changed. Earth had answered to distress calls. They had crushed the Scourge on Threxonine. Then, they erased an entire fleet in the skies of Veridon 4. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't ask for allies. Didn't even send a message afterward. They came, they saved, and they vanished, like ghosts with guns. Now, every leader in the Galactic Council was asking the same question. What if Earth doesn't stop? In a floating citadel, above the blue gas giant Corel 6, the Council met again. The room was large, carved from crystal and gold. Lights shimmered on the walls like soft fire. But inside, the mood was anything but calm. "Earth is dangerous." Lord Venrec snapped. "We must act before they start making demands." "They haven't made any demands," said the Alari representative. "They just helped people. Helped with weapons." Another alien said. "Warships. Explosions, fire. They didn't protect. They destroyed." "The enemy," a soft voice replied. It came from the Varnali diplomat, a thin creature who rarely spoke. "They only harmed those who attacked the weak." "But that's the problem," Lord Venrec growled. "Who decides who is weak? Decides who is the enemy?"
Oh.
Another counselor whispered, "Right now, Earth does." That sentence sent chills across the chamber. No one wanted to admit it, but it was true. Earth was not acting like a death world anymore. It was acting like a guardian. And guardians don't ask for permission. Across the stars, humans were being talked about in every system, not just in fear, but in awe. Civilians of peaceful planets uploaded songs, stories, and images of Earth warships appearing like legends in the sky. Some called them angels, others called them monsters. But all of them called them unstoppable. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Commander Rhea stood on the balcony of the United Earth's military tower, staring at the stars. She wasn't proud. She wasn't smiling. She looked tired. "People are calling us saviors," said a general beside her. "We're not," she said. "We just did what no one else would." The general nodded. "And now the galaxy fears us." "Good," she replied. "Fear will slow them down, or it will unite them." Rhea turned her eyes toward him. "If they unite to stop us, then they're more afraid of justice than of war. And that's not our fault." Far away on the dark moon Vexa Prime, a secret meeting was taking place. Not everyone in the galaxy wanted peace. Some species thrived on chaos, on control, and they hated what Earth was doing. "We must form a silent alliance," said the hooded leader of the Kern Syndicate. "We cannot allow Deathworlders to act like gods." "They're not gods," said the Thalan priest beside him. "But they have firepower close to one. Then we will light a fire of our own." They didn't need to fight Earth directly. That would be foolish. Instead, they would create a new war. False flag. A trap. Their plan was simple. Destroy a peaceful planet, make it look like Earth did it, and turn the entire galaxy against them. It had worked before with other rising powers. And this time, they were sure it would work again. But what they didn't know is that Earth had already intercepted the message. Deep in space, aboard a silent black operations vessel called Eco-17, a human spy sat in darkness. Listening to encrypted chatter, his name was Jonas Kale, and he was trained not to be seen, not to be heard. He tapped into the secret signal and decoded the message, and what he heard made his blood run cold. "They're planning to attack Meraxis 4, he whispered into his mic. "Ain't they're going to make it look like Earth did it?" The voice in his earpiece replied, "Confirmed. We move now." Jonas smiled in the shadows. They thought Earth wouldn't see. They were wrong. That same night, the skies above Meraxis 4 were calm. The people there were artists, healers, and scientists. They had no army. They believed in peace. Suddenly, a fake Earth warship appeared, painted black, marked with forged human symbols. It began to charge its weapons. But before it could fire, a real Earth ship dropped from the stars. It wasn't large. It didn't look special. But it moved fast, too fast. A single plasma round struck the fake ship's engines. The explosion was controlled non-lethal, but enough to disable. Within seconds, Earth Marines boarded the vessel. What they found shocked everyone. Inside were not humans, but agents of the Kern Syndicate, same ones who had planned the false flag. Within hours, the news spread across the galaxy. Earth saves Meraxis 4 from secret conspiracy. False Earthship exposed. Real humans stop galactic war. The trap had failed. And worse for the enemies of Earth, it had exposed who was really behind the chaos. Now Earth wasn't just seen as powerful, they were seen as smart. And that was more terrifying than anything. The galaxy had wanted Earth to stay quiet. Instead, they had gained something worse than Earth's silence. Earth's attention, deep. In space, between dead stars and frozen planets, something stirred. The Kern Syndicate was broken. Their secret operation on Meraxis 4 had failed. They had tried to frame Earth. They wanted to turn the galaxy against the humans. But Earth had moved faster, smarter, and deadlier now. The enemies of Earth were running scared. But fear does something strange to powerful people. It doesn't make them quiet. It makes them reckless. At a hidden facility near the Black Hole Cinder's Eye, leaders of the fallen factions met, not to plan peace, but to plan revenge. "They exposed our trap," growled the Vroxy overlord, his teeth sharp and black. "They think they're untouchable." "Let them think it," hissed Azarn, intelligence agent. "Let them look the other way, while we give the galaxy something else to fear." A hologram lit the room. It showed a new weapon. It's not a ship, not a bomb. A virus. Not a virus for the body, but for the mind. Project Shadowfall once released, it would infect communication networks, rewrite orders, distort video footage, and send false distress calls. Entire fleets could be tricked into turning on their own.
Ow.
Civilizations could collapse without a shot fired. All it needed was access. And Earth had the most advanced galaxy-wide relay beacons in space. It's a perfect carrier. They always save. Others, the Vraxi said, now we make them destroy themselves. Meanwhile, back on Earth's orbital defense ring, alarms were silent. No enemy ships, no warnings. But inside the command room, Commander Rhea couldn't sleep. She kept walking the halls, reading messages, rechecking satellite logs. Something didn't feel right. Jonas Kale, the human spy who had exposed the Meraxis trap, sent her a coded report from deep space. "Something is coming," he said through. Encrypted audio. Not ships. Not weapons. But it's worse. It hides inside light. The words didn't make full sense. But Rhea had learned long ago Jonas never lied. She ordered an emergency scan of Earth's beacon networks. At first, everything seemed fine, until they found a small signal, repeating every 7 seconds, bouncing between relays. The message was hidden inside Earth's own emergency code. It was already in. Within minutes, Earth's civilian systems started glitching. Hospitals reported failing software. Defense satellites turned toward friendly ships. One ship launched a missile at its own hangar. The virus had started, and it was spreading fast. But Earth wasn't just strong because of ships and guns. It was strong because of minds like Dr. Samir Altif, a former hacker turned defense AI architect. Samir had once brought down for governments using only a keyboard. Now he was humanity's last line of defense. He was already working deep underground. Inside Earth's black node, a supercomputer hidden beneath Antarctica's ice. As the virus hit, he stared at its code and muttered, "Smart, adaptive, alien." But rushed, he leaned forward. "Let's tear this thing apart." What followed was the most intense digital war in Earth's history. AI fighting AI, firewalls exploding, programs rewriting in seconds. The virus spread like fire, but Samir's countercode hunted it like a predator. The Syndicate had created something powerful, but they had forgotten what. Earth was not a death world of brutes, but a world of survivors, innovators, monsters born in chaos. Within 12 hours, Earth pushed the virus back. And then, Earth infected the Syndicate systems in return, not to destroy, but to track, to learn, and what they found horrified them. The virus was only Phase 1. Phase 2 was already moving ships, armed with gravity warheads meant to shatter entire planets by pulling their cores apart. The targets, not Earth, but the Allies' Earth, had recently saved. Threx 9, Meraxis 4. Even the outer colonies near Veridon. The Syndicate had learned something dangerous. If you can't beat the hero, kill the people they protect. But Earth wasn't done. Rhea stood before the Earth's War Council. The room was quiet. "They won't stop," she said. "They don't want war. They want fear. They want silence. They want to erase any world that asks for help." She stepped forward. "So now we stop asking." The council looked at her. Launch the Black Fleet. It was a name spoken only in secret. The Black Fleet was not for defense. It was not for peacekeeping. It was Earth's judgment. Massive warships built without markings, silent engines, cloaking systems, weapons that could turn stars into novas. No warnings, no calls, no broadcasts. Just death when the Syndicate ships reached orbit over Meraxis 4. They found something unexpected. Nothing, just cold space then. Their ships started exploding one by one. No enemy visible. The galaxy had gone quiet. After the Black Fleet moved, everything changed. No enemy ship dared enter Earth's zone. Pirate groups disbanded overnight. The Kern Syndicate erased their own databases, hoping to hide. Entire species, once proud, loud and untouchable, suddenly became silent shadows. Everyone feared the same question: where would Earth strike next? But what no one realized was that Earth didn't want war. Earth wanted the war to end forever, high above Mars. Inside the command, Ship Grave Dancer, Admiral Sato, stood before the holoscreen. One by one, star systems blinked into red zones known for Syndicate activity. His voice was calm but cold. "We do not ask for mercy," he said, "and we do not offer it to cowards who target the weak." Behind him stood Earth's finest fleet, commanders from all nations, veterans of the Jupiter riots, the Titan siege, and the Voidgate incident. Men and women shaped by Deathworld hardship. People who had seen fire and became fire themselves. The plan was simple: not to conquer, not to invade, but to erase evil so thoroughly that even its memory would be burned from the stars. They called it Operation Ashfall, while the galaxy debated peace conferences in neutral zones.
Ow.
Earth had already launched 22 Black Ops missions.
Ow. Each.
One moved with stealth so advanced even light took time to notice. These were not full fleets. These were ghosts, teams of cyber hunters. Gravity snipers and zero-sound combat units strained for one job: remove threats before they could breathe in. The star system of Vexarotwelve, a Syndicate outpost that harvested slave labor, vanished overnight. No explosion, no debris, The next morning, orbital scans showed a crater and silence. On the asteroid vaults of Korath Prime, where stolen weapons were stored, internal airlocks failed. Every armed guard found frozen. No signs of a break-in. Just a single message scratched into a steel wall: mercy is not a shield. But Earth didn't just use weapons, they used information. Dr. Yelena Cross, Earth's chief intelligence analyst, released classified files to galactic news channels. These were the Syndicate's secrets: the bribes, the false flag attacks, the betrayals of innocent planets. Billions watched in horror suddenly. Earth wasn't seen as a monster, it was seen as the reckoner. People started whispering. Earth didn't go too far. It just finally stood up. Across dying empires and crumbling alliances, rebellions began. Slaves broke free. Scientists fled corrupted regimes. Alien soldiers dropped their weapons and asked for asylum not from Earth, but with Earth. The Syndicate. It began eating itself alive. Its leaders turned paranoid. They killed their own spies. They destroyed their own bases to keep Earth from reaching them. But it was already too late because Earth had already arrived. Beneath the moons of Keller, a Syndicate war council gathered. They planned a last strike, a desperate one, like a hidden base under the gas giant, where they would create something forbidden, a singularity bomb, one that could wipe out not just a planet, but the gravity field of an entire solar system. Their target, Sol, Earth's home. But they didn't know that Jonas Kalerth's deadliest covert agent was already there, hiding inside their computers, watching every line of code. And he wasn't alone. Using hacked Syndicate comms, Jonas whispered, coordinates back to Admiral Sato. Then he typed just one word: cleanse. What followed was the fastest war action in recorded galactic history. The Gravedancer dropped out of light space above Keller, followed by 6 stealth cruisers. Earth didn't ask questions. They didn't demand surrender. They fired mass drivers, punched through the gas layers like thunder through clouds. Kinetic rounds exploded deep into the core of the enemy station. Not one enemy escaped. And when it was done, a message was broadcast one final time. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was a warning to every dark empire, every slaver ring, every coward hiding behind fear. We will not let you rebuild.
Oh.
The galaxy trembled not because Earth was cruel, but because Earth was done forgiving, done waiting, done trusting monsters to play by rules they had begged Earth to save them. Now, Earth was showing them what it meant to truly be saved. And sometimes, salvation comes wrapped in fire. There was nothing left to say. The galaxy watched in silence. The last Syndicate world, Rothka Prime, was surrounded. Earth's fleet hovered like giants above the blue-gray skies. Black warships spread out across orbit, motionless, like executioners waiting for the final command. Inside Rothka's bunkers, Syndicate leaders screamed at one another. Panic, rage, fear. Some demanded surrender. Others cried for last-minute escape. But none of them had any hope left. They had ruled the galaxy with cruelty. They had used slaves, bombs, and lies to grow rich. Now they faced something they had never imagined. Justice, not from a god, not from a law, but from humans, creatures they once laughed at. Inside Earth's command ship Nemesis, Admiral Sato stood beside the old war table. Every screen showed targets. Every missile was ready, but he hadn't fired. Yet instead, he looked at the video feed of Rothka's capital. Millions of civilians, innocents, children, families, slaves who had no choice in the Syndicate's evil. This wasn't a war anymore. It was judgment. And Earth would not become what it hated. Admiral Sato turned to the fleet and gave a new order: evacuate the innocent. Show them what humanity really is. Shocked everyone. Even the enemy didn't believe it. But Earth wasn't here to slaughter. Earth was here to cleanse, to burn out the evil, not those trapped under it. In the next 48 hours, Earth's ships opened their bays not for war, but for mercy. Rescue crews descended like angels. Ex-slaves wept when they saw them. Alien mothers clutched their children and whispered, "Humans came." Rothka's streets were filled with Light's drones delivering food. Med kits and warm blankets to a planet once ruled by chains. But Earth hadn't forgotten its mission. Under the capital's soil, deep inside the Syndicate command vault, were the last 500 warlords leaders of centuries of pain. And they had one last weapon. The Mind Shard, a psychic bomb designed to erase memory on a galactic scale. If triggered, it would wipe the past from billions of minds, erase evidence, erase guilt, erase everything Earth had fought to expose. And they were about to use it, but Earth was already inside. Jonas, Kale, the same agent who ended the singularity threat, had already infiltrated the vault 2 days earlier. He was waiting in the shadows, heart beating slow, breathing steady, pistol in hand. At 3:17 Galactic Standard Time, the Syndicate leader placed his palm on the device. Jonas pulled the trigger. Shot 1 second. The war ended, not with fire, not with screams, but with a whisper and the fall of a tyrant. The Mind Shard never activated. The Syndicate Council lay still. Their guards didn't even resist. They knew it was over. A few hours later, as the galaxy's interstellar beacon flared green for the first time in 1,000 years, peace declared, tyranny ended, and Earth simply stood back. They didn't plant flags. They didn't claim territory. They didn't demand tribute. They just left one final message on every channel across every star system. We were born on a world where everything tried to kill us. The cold, the heat, the beasts, even each other. We survived because we learned to protect. And now we protect you, not for power, not for praise, but because it must be done. Earth will not rule you, but Earth will watch. And if the darkness returns, so will we. After that, the fleet slowly turned. Engines flared. And Earth's warships vanished into the stars, one by one, leaving behind silence, hope, and a galaxy that finally understood. Humanity was not just from a death world. They were its final evolution. Not monsters, not gods, but something far more terrifying. Guardians. Who did not wait for permission,